All right, let's get it. This is Nap Nose Buffalo, and Manny is back again. And I think this might just start to become a thing. I think Manny's just going to be on the show moving forward. We didn't actually talk about saying that at all before, but we're doing a little bit more gambling content within the show. And Manny and Casey, they were doing a gambling show before. It's hard to make all of that work at once, so I think we're just bringing Manny onto the show. Casey, are we good with that? Do
Yeah,
we
I
want to talk
just
that through with Manny just kind of sitting here right now? Are you? I'm on the
yeah,
edge about this a little bit. Where are you?
I, I'm fine with it. I like Manny.
All right. If
There's
you say
nothing
so.
there's nothing he's ever said. He's pretty legit in my book. The one issue I do have is I've been growing out my beard, I've been growing out my hair, and there's been a lot of like reports out there of, oh, Casey looks like this guy, Casey looks like this guy. Um I figured out that I look like Kevin Smith. And
You do, yeah.
I don't necessarily like it, you know, but I
Why?
look
Why
like
not?
Why?
Kevin Smith. I don't know. I don't know. I don't necessarily like it. I don't necessarily dislike it. I'm glad that you got the reference though, so that makes it a lot easier. But yeah, I look like Kevin Smith. So that's all I have to say about Manny's joining the show. So
All right. Well, Manny, I guess you're in.
Thank you. I feel welcome. I think you guys needed a little bit of Canadian in your content.
no
It
one
is.
needs
Look,
that.
we are
Moving on.
all three of us are out of towners from Buffalo at the moment, and I would say the foreseeable future, because I have no plans on moving back there. I don't know, Casey. I don't think you have any plans on ever moving there. I think you're
I'm too
pretty
poor.
comfortable. Too poor. Too poor. That's true. It is
Poor.
expensive to move. I've moved far too many times in the last whatever 6-7 years. It's just I can't do it again. But yeah, so the Bills beat the Chiefs 38-20. And we do have a couple different things to discuss, the things we liked, disliked, winners, losers, all that stuff. I have to make a confession to the listeners and the viewers first before we get into that, because I feel like it would be disingenuous if I didn't mention this, since we're talking about the game and discussing what we saw, what we liked, what not. I had a rough night Sunday night. I didn't end up getting to see the end of the game. I lost my wallet. The last play that I saw was the pick six touchdown. And then after that, the bar that I was at shut down. They closed. The lights went out, figuratively and literally. But they did shut down, and they kicked everybody out because there was an incident at the first floor of the bar. So I never even saw the fourth quarter. So I can't talk about anything that happened in the fourth quarter. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Not a great, I mean, it was a great night as a Bills fan, but also like that kind of sucked for me to not be able to see the fourth quarter and watch to the end of the game. And I'm not going to lie, I woke up feeling pretty down about myself from that.
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah. It doesn't help that I lost my wallet either. Like that part sucked too, but it is what it is. That's all in the past. Let's do the things we liked first, or was there anything that you didn't like from the game? I guess we'll start there.
Casey, did you dislike anything?
No, I thought they played a pretty damn good game. I mean, Josh Allen, he wasn't 100% on. If we're nitpicking, you know what I'm saying? Like Josh Allen wasn't 100% on his passing. You know what I'm saying? He had a couple really good long passing and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, who cares if he was like 15 of 30 or whatever? If we're winning games.
I
What I'm
didn't
saying? Like,
expect
we're
there to be
nitpicking at that
anything really
point.
big about the Bills there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The game itself was just too good to have something specific about that. I did have one thing about the game in general that I didn't like, not even the fact that I didn't end up seeing the fourth quarter, but it was the fact that I thought it was over officiated. I thought the refs were far too involved in the game. And apparently, after I was done watching, that continued, because there was a couple of calls both ways where it sounds like the calls could have been different than whether they were made or not made. So I think that is one of the things I don't like. And I know that the crew was known for being a crew that throws a lot of flags and gets involved in the games a lot. I hate when refs make the game about themselves. And it felt like early on in the game, they were trying to like establish their presence. Like, hey, just so you know, guys, I know it's the Chiefs and the Bills, but like we're here too. Don't forget about us. Like that's what it felt like early on.
Yeah, it was a little inconsistent too. I remember a play that Diggs looked like he was kind of held, and there was no call. And then the next series, like Mahomes brought it up, and same thing happened. They called it, so there were some calls that were a little inconsistent. I know a lot of people were angry about the roughing the passer on Allen when he threw the interception, but that rule is clear. If you drive the quarterback with your body into the ground, that's going to be called no matter what. But yeah, they were a little too involved, and like Casey said, we're basically nitpicking. And
yeah, that was the only thing I could think of.
I think my biggest takeaway, and it was very uncomfortable for me to watch or listen, was just Chris Collinsworth being very inappropriate on air. I think that was the worst part for me, because I was watching the game with my wife and my daughter, and I just, honestly, I don't need to hear a man jacking off while I'm watching football, and that's what he was doing every time he mentioned Patrick Mahomes. It was very just.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I did not know where you were going.
It was
with that
just very. It was very just uncomfortable to hear a man speak and know for a fact that he's just rock hard at the point. So I think that was my biggest complaint there. Like, I mean, look, we're not talking about the game anymore. We're talking about the announcers at this point. I mean, the dude was like, "Hey, you got to twist his ankle. You can't let him just get out there and run."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, I mean, Kansas City is so good, like so good." And then they're like, "Hey, what about Allen, the MVP?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I guess he's the MVP." Blah, but you know what I'm saying? Like you could tell he does not like Buffalo, and I don't know why he doesn't like Buffalo. But you can tell he just does not like Buffalo.
I don't think he doesn't like Buffalo. I just think, Mahomes, it's kind of like that Brady syndrome, right? Brady's won it. He's a winner. And so people like to talk about winners. And I think until the day Buffalo wins and Allen wins the MVP, they'll be talking about Allen the same way they're talking about Mahomes and Brady. And then other teams will be saying, well, maybe he's now jacking off to Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Right. It just I think it just goes that way. And
this is our show now.
This is the show.
One thing I will agree with Casey on, there was a moment, and I think other people talked about it, where they were talking about MVP, and Al Michaels was talking about, Allen being so good. And then Collinsworth was like, yeah, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. He went on this rant, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the play, Allen threw another touchdown. He's like, yeah, maybe he's an MVP.
I did see that clip, yeah.
I was like, really? Like, you could have just said that before your rant that went on for
and I like Chris Collinsworth. Like, I like, people put him down and stuff like that, but I don't mind listening to him on Sunday nights. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind it, but like this Sunday night, like even my wife, who knows nothing about football, was like, bro, that dude, he really likes Patrick Mahomes. And I was like, yeah, no shit.
They're typically the best announcing crew, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, despite, like, I don't love Chris Collinsworth, but I think they do the best job as a team. But I will say, you mentioned it already, but when he was talking, I saw the clip about him talking about when the dude rolled over on Josh Allen's leg. Like, he was praising that. That was just bad. I don't really know why he thought that was the right thing to say, or if that just kind of came out and he was happy. But whatever. That was bad, though. So let's move on from the dislikes, because there was a hell of a lot more things to like about the game.
Yeah.
Manny, you go first. What is one thing that you liked about the Bills game against the Chiefs?
Well, I'm just going to shout out to my article that I released talking about why I picked the Chiefs and why I was wrong, and I apologize for picking them. But I had I had concerns going into the game, and they're from last year and how they played Kansas City. Yeah, I know Kansas City's defense is a little worse than last year, but they weren't great last year either that much. I think my biggest thing that I take away, two things. Josh Allen looked poised, confident, he was ready to go. He looked like he was on a mission. He was out for blood. He wanted to win this game badly. And I felt like the O line also kind of felt that energy and knew how important it was for Josh to kind of step out of that shadow. It's always when he's playing other quarterbacks like that, he's always in the shadow. And I think this was one of the things that the O line really wanted to win for him. The other thing was I've been a big person all summer long that if you want to win against Mahomes, you have to disrupt Mahomes. You don't have to sack him, but you want to make him know that we are right there and we are coming for you. And, Russo had a big game. I think Starr was big. I think Hughes was good. I think that whole D line was disruptive, and they made sure that Mahomes felt uncomfortable. Those were the two biggest takeaways. Those were the two biggest weaknesses I thought from the two games last year, and I think those were the biggest improvements.
Yeah, I mean, I am on this screen right now for anyone who's watching. I am in between two people who were very right about their offseason takes. Manny was right about you need to draft the defensive lineman. You need to go for the defensive ends, pass rushers. We need to do that. Casey was very
popular.
right. No, it was not.
It wasn't.
Popular
It was
at
not
all.
popular.
Yeah. I got yelled
but
at.
he was 100% correct.
But he was right. And then Casey was right from the start about the offensive lineman that he wanted in Spencer Brown. And I've given you credit a couple different times. You were my winner of the week previously for that take. That was awesome to see. Casey, what is the one thing that you liked from the game?
Well, how does it feel to be a part of a winner sandwich?
I think I'm a winner.
Okay, well,
my fiance tells me I'm a winner.
She doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to like real life situations, Kyle.
To a real life situation. That's harsh.
So
yeah.
When you have an off-season take that comes correct, then we'll talk. In fact, just start spewing off random stuff now.
Yeah.
Do we? I mean, if we want to talk about takes that were correct, I'll just go into my one thing that I liked instead. Then Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox.
We'll talk about Dawson Knox here in a minute.
I liked that. I liked Dawson Knox and the way he played. But give us your winner if you want to talk about winners.
The run game. The run game was really good. I thought they ran very efficiently. I thought they had a lot of big open holes as well. I know there was a clip that continuously got played on Sunday Night Football after it happened, which was Josh running the ball, right, and having a lead block.
The hurdle.
Singletary. No, I wasn't talking about the hurdle. Just talking about the movement with the offensive line. The hurdle's nice.
The hurdle was great too, yeah.
Seeing the movement with the offensive line, and seeing them get on blocks and Josh being free for about 10, 15 yards, that's awesome to see. Same with Devin Singletary. Same with Zach Moss, seeing them run efficiently through the hole. That's awesome to see because it's going to pay off in the long run. And we'll talk about Tennessee here in a minute, but it is going to pay off in the long run with his run game being efficiently. And Josh doesn't have to feel like he has to put the game on his back and throw the ball constantly when you've got a run game that you can balance out. So that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah, and I mean, Josh Allen was the leading rusher for the game, but it's not like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary were bad. Zach Moss was at 3.4 yards per carry, which is lower than you would want, but still, like, you can work with that for a game. And then Devin Singletary was 4.2, so like they still did their job. You're 100% right about that. I already mentioned Dawson Knox. He was one of the things that I liked. The biggest thing that I liked, though, and partially something that I didn't get to fully experience, but after the rain delay, I think there was a lot of worry. I will say two things, actually. They kept the game going after the rain delay the way they wanted it to. They were still in charge after the rain delay. They didn't let that take away their momentum. But then there was another moment where they didn't let their momentum go. And it was when the Chiefs scored the touchdown in the second quarter. I want to say it was was it Byron Pringle? I think it was. Yep. Where they had all the weird motion before the snap that got a lot of Twitter praise. There was a bunch of nothing. But that was a moment where I think could have been a big momentum swing for last year's Bills against these Chiefs or 2 years ago against these Chiefs. And it was because we saw the Bills go up 10-0 in the playoffs, and then it just kind of fell apart. So I there was a slight moment where I was nervous of like, is this going to be a momentum killer? And the Bills just came right back and ripped off 3 straight scores. So I loved the fact that they didn't let a Chiefs touchdown take away their momentum, because in previous games they've done that. So I think that was my favorite part. No matter what, no matter who played well, no matter what happened during the game, they were the ones who were constantly facilitating the game flow, and the Chiefs had to react to them. So I thought that was great. Winners and losers from the game. Manny, who is your winner from the game?
I think Sean McDermott and the coaching staff. I honestly think so. I've talked about it before. They sometimes try to overanalyze things. They try to play this game, and they kind of fall in this trap. And Sean McDermott's done that, timeouts and, challenges at weird times and some of the play calling. I thought him, Dable, and Fraser kept it simple. They came out, they had a game plan. They didn't change the game plan, no matter if Kansas City scored. They just came back and scored again. The defense played the 2 deep safeties with, the 4 rushing and made sure. And I think Zach was one who said it in the pregame, where he said it's interesting that they activated all the athletic, like the leaner, quicker defensive linemen for the game. And, those 4, that's all you really needed. They were applying pressure all game. So I have to give it for them 3 because they just kept it simple. They stuck to the game plan and they didn't overcomplicate things. And you see the result.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's a good winner. Casey, your winner of the week.
The secondary as a whole. I wanted to say Micah Hyde. I wanted to say, Taron Johnson. I wanted to say Jordan Poyer. But just as a whole, the secondary, of course, you can throw in Trey for locking down Travis Kelce, playing him in man-to-man, locking him down, especially the first play of the game where he just slung Travis Kelce, just setting the precedence that we're going to be physical this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Micah Hyde catching an interception, return for a touchdown. Shout out to Kyle and I for being right on that take.
Don't forget Tilt.
Don't forget
Tilt season. Well, no. See,
you're going with the preseason prediction.
Preseason prediction of us. Every time Micah Hyde makes an interception, I'm like, how many more do we got? Until I'm correcting, Kyle's not. So Micah Hyde's going to have a stellar year, obviously. And then Terry Johnson leading the team in tackles. He locked up his bag, and then he goes and he leads the team in tackles. So the secondary as a whole, and we'll talk about Jordan Poyer just real quick, 2.5 seconds, putting the fear of God into all of the Chiefs' weapons. Wide receivers, tight ends didn't matter. They were dropping balls left and right because they're hearing footsteps. And then the penalty was correct, but it was a very good hit where he lowered his shoulder, not his head, into Travis Kelce. It was a good hit. Penalty is corrected as a personal foul. But you like to see things like that, right? I don't want to say you want to see them cause a penalty, but you want to see the physicality and stuff like that from your safeties.
I think it was kind of sending a message too that we're for real. Don't mess with us. We're here to play. You do not scare us. And it was on Kelce, of all players. That's the guy who destroyed the Bills in the last 2 games. It was a message saying, we're not scared of you guys. We're not scared of anybody. If we can do this to Kelce, we can do it to any of you. And I think that was a message. But also, Casey, shout out Saron Neal, who played an important part in that game. Another second.
I didn't want to.
Casey didn't want to mention Saron Neal at all because he knew what I was going to do if Saron Neal got brought up.
Here's
Casey before the season, He wanted him cut.
I've already admitted my mistake. What did I say? We can run back the tape. Like I said, I don't want Saron Neal, right? Saron Neal, however you pronounce his name. I don't want him playing cornerback or safety. I would rather him be down in the box playing that linebacker position, which is exactly how they had him playing in this game, and he did a good job. So, or is it crazy to think that maybe he shouldn't be in this? Is it crazy to think that maybe we shouldn't have him in the secondary and he should change positions? I don't know. Maybe
make him a part of that linebacking crew.
make him part of the linebacker crew.
It's just
Why
not
not?
Neil, but
Yeah.
like that comes back to the coaching staff, right? Understanding your player personnel, Neil and Zimmer, the way they use those two for that game, that's coaching right there. That will win you games. If you can win that battle against the other coach, you've won the game right there.
Yeah. If you didn't mention it when you were talking, I wanted to make sure you mentioned how physical the secondary played, because that's not something that we always see from everybody in the secondary. Jordan Poyer is normally a guy who tries to play a little bit more physical. Trey White doesn't always play as physical. Micah Hyde isn't always as physical, but it felt like everybody in the secondary was just like, nope, we're going to make sure that you end up on the ground and not us today. So that I wanted to make sure that you said that, but you did that before I could. So my winner of the week, I'm going to give two. Actually, I'm going to give one, but there's for two separate reasons. It's me. I'm the winner of the week. First and foremost,
wow.
All right, subject.
Hold on, because I did not have to listen to the commentary from Chris Collinsworth. I was at the bar. They were not playing the sound from the game. I didn't have to hear any of that BS from him. That was great. It made my watching experience much better. The other reason I'm a winner from the week, it's me and Tilt, because we directly called the pick six. Tilt went a step further and said it was going to be Micah Hyde. Shout out to him for getting that right. But on this show, I almost didn't do it. I decided to go with it, predicted the pick six. I am my own winner of the week. We don't like to pat ourselves on the back here, though. So, but I'm my winner of the week.
Case, I'm going to pat myself for calling 2+ INTs for Mahomes.
Yeah, you did.
Let's get into the losers of the week.
I actually wanted to transition into the losers of the week because I'm also my own loser of the week.
Okay.
I'm probably the loser of my week.
I think it's fair enough to say I'm the loser of the week for not being able to watch the entire game, as well as losing my wallet, losing my everything that goes in your wallet, gone. Terrible way to wake up. I am my loser of the week for that. The Kansas City Chiefs social media team, though, that's the big loser of the week. They put out the social media. They put out the tweet. You all remember what happened the last time we played the Bills. Hashtag Throwback Thursday, and it's a picture of Travis Kelce doing a first down point, and it's a picture of, I believe, Frank Clark standing over Josh Allen after a sack. They got beat so bad that the social media team decided, let's remove the post. We can't have that up because it looks so bad after the way our team got dominated on Sunday night. So they are also a loser of the week for me. Casey, you wanted to go though. Who's your loser of the week?
Yeah, you can't delete tweets. Like if you make a mistake, you just have to own up and let people comment on it until they get bored and move on to the next loser of the week. I do that all the time on social media. Just mute the conversation and move on. Because I am always a loser on social media. My loser of the week is Patrick Mahomes' wife, fiance, whatever she is, and his brother. They're my loser of the week. I think her name is Brittany. I don't care. She's not important to me, so I care less what her name is. But she was on Twitter constantly dogging the refs and saying, oh, they never throw flags for us. And then it's like, okay, well, dude, we can pull out like 10 examples on a spreadsheet that we have where it shows that they have thrown flags to go your way multiple times. So her complaining is hilarious. And then I don't know who it was, but credit to somebody on Twitter. They have a blue check mark, so they get all the credit they ever need anyways. But they were like, you don't see other family members of star quarterbacks getting on Twitter and complaining like this. Like if I was Patrick, boy, I'd go home and I'd be like, hey, look, hey, listen here. Hey, go ahead, take a seat. Listen here. Give me your phones, right? You're not allowed to tweet on game day. You're not allowed to tweet about football on game day, okay? Just don't do it. I appreciate you supporting me. Just don't do it, right? Because it's kind of embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing. It makes me hate Patrick Mahomes. And I think he's a cool guy. But I'm like, he's associated with that, right? So that's my biggest loser of the week.
All right. Patrick Mahomes' family are apparently losers in Casey's eyes. Manny.
Yes, correct. Come find me.
Unfortunately, the Buffalo Bills do have family members that are on social media.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up, but yeah.
She needs to put her phone down too. That applies to her as well. But
yeah. I agree with you though, Casey. That is one that I was thinking of as well. But my loser of the week is me, obviously, because I picked the Chiefs. So I am the loser, and I've already apologized for that. So, yeah. So I'm the loser of the week. The other loser of the week, I have to shout out to Dan Campbell for crying again on the stage after he lost.
I'm disagreeing with it.
I don't like this one, Manny. I don't like this one, Manny. Real men can cry.
No,
Manny,
no.
real men can cry.
I do. I cry all the time. That's not my
cry right now.
Nope.
Cry right now.
That's not why he's a loser.
Do it. Cry.
That's why. That's not why he's a loser. I just think they have lost. Dan Campbell as a coach has lost too many close games, and it comes down to his coaching tactics. And the other one was Frank Reich, and
Frank Reich is a great pick for this. He is an absolute buffoon now. I'm sorry, I know he's a great Bill, but he's a buffoon for that game.
He basically did what McDermott did last year: is play too conservative, think you're gonna win. Let's get the field goal. They miss the field goal, comes back, and they lose. And those were my two. Dan Campbell, not for crying, because I think crying is okay. I think he made mistakes in this game. He should have won this game. I don't have no problem with that. I think the two coaches, I had winners coaches. I wanted coaches as losers, and those were my two losers. Detroit should have been. They should have won this week.
Well, no, I don't have an issue with that. I do have an issue with is you pick two coaches out of the NFL to be losers, and those are your two coaches. Yeah. When the obvious choice, who just got fired, should have been the biggest loser of everything.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, can't believe we didn't do that.
I totally forgot about John Gruden.
Let's just. John Gruden is the ultimate
loser.
Ultimate loser of the week.
Loser.
Yeah. I agree with
John
you,
Gruden,
Casey.
bad guy.
I missed it. So I'll give you that. Yeah, but
can we all agree on that? We haven't agreed on much so far. Can we all agree on that? John Gruden, bad guy.
Bad guy.
Yeah. All right. That's good. You got another one though?
I got one more thing, and I promise you we're going to move on.
You're good.
It's a big issue. We talk too much on this show. Do anybody else see Diggs kind of like not put a lot of effort into running a route at the goal line? And the same series, Josh throws a pass, Emmanuel Sanders just stares at it as it goes to his right and doesn't make an attempt on the ball. Anybody else?
I remember that.
Well, you were drunk, but it was one of the.
No, the bar was closed.
Whatever. It was one of the times where. It was one of the times where they settled for a field goal. I think it was early in the game. I had a buddy text me who does not watch Buffalo football, right? Not many people do here in Tennessee. They will on Monday night, though. And he was like, man, Emmanuel Sanders is just trash. And I'm like, no, he's not. Like, he's been probably our best receiver this year for what he's doing. But I agree, because it seemed to me like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Josh will just throw the ball, right? And you're supposed to be on the same page with him, and you're supposed to be clicking. Anybody can get the ball. Josh said that multiple times, but it just seemed like, he turns around, the ball's already in the air. He doesn't even make a play on the ball. Stephon Diggs at the goal line. It showed the replay of it, and it didn't even look like he was really trying to run a route at the time, right? So it's like little things like that we have to take a step back and be like, okay, well, the offense looked good at times, right? But they're still not the offense that we are used to seeing from, last year. So I think there's a little bit more polishing that needs to happen with the Buffalo Bills offense. So that's my loser of the week, is that one drive.
Which is crazy.
Which is fine.
To say. It's crazy to be able to say the Bills have, whatever it is, 108. They're plus 108 point differential on the year with a loss factored in there. And there's still plenty of ways that they can get better on offense. Yeah, just absolutely insane to be able to say that right now. All right, let's move on to our 5 best bets of the week. Who wants to go first?
I guess because I'm prepared, I will.
Shots fired at Casey. Okay.
I kind of felt that. So my first one, I got Packers 4.5 over the Bears. I just think the Bears missing. I know they did well, but Montgomery is a huge miss, and I think Green Bay is just a way better team than Chicago right now. And Aaron Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers things. The other one I do have is Pittsburgh -6 over Seahawks, just because no Geno Smith is not Russell Wilson. If this was Russell Wilson, I'd probably say Seattle, and maybe Seattle wouldn't be that much of a dog as much as they are. But
Geno Smith.
I mean, they'd be favorites. I think they'd be favorites.
Yeah, they'd be close to it if Geno
Russell
was.
Wilson's playing.
Yeah, so I take Pittsburgh in that one. Then I got the Chargers money line over Baltimore. I just think this is gonna, like Casey and us three were talking about before the show. He had a great game. He's gonna come back to earth now.
Referencing Lamar Jackson there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson.
Say his name. Say his name.
Sorry.
Say
Lamar.
his name. Let everybody know who's going to come back.
Chargers money line over Baltimore, which is they're the dogs in this game match, and I think Chargers. If there's anybody that I've seen in the AFC that could, be a problem for the Bills, it's probably the Chargers. And then I got Arizona money line over Cleveland. Cleveland running game is unstoppable. They're a great running team, but when it comes to, hey, let's give Baker Mayfield the ball, they suck. And that's basically how I'm going to do that. The fifth one I got is basically the Bills, but I think we want to save that one. So.
No, it's okay. If that's one of your best bets, give it. Yeah.
So I'm taking the Bills.
We can reference it again at the end.
Bills 5.5. Take it. I think Henry has. I think the last 3 games I saw Derrick Henry run, I don't even think he has a touchdown, and I don't think he hit 100 yards against the Bills. And I think that's their biggest threat. And I think Starr coming back and Ed Oliver, they've been really good in that middle spot, and I think. That's going to continue, and the Bills we know can score, and I think 5.5 is actually pretty good.
All right, so that's Manny's 5 best bets. I should have said this before we started this. Last week, which was the first week that we did this, Manny 2-3, I was 3-2. Casey was the leader at 4-1. We're going to track that going forward just to see who's the winner at the end of the season.
Frank Reich, that's why you're a loser. Frank Reich's a loser because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, anyone who loses me money is a loser. Yep, I guess we'll roll with that. I have a couple of similar bets to you for my 5 best bets. I got the first one I'm rolling with is the Cowboys at the Patriots. I got the Cowboys covering the 4.5 point spread. That's what it was when I placed my bet. It might move a little bit before game time, but I think the Cowboys are a legitimately good team. I think they have a great offense, and I think their defense is really, they're able to force turnovers. And when you're going up against a rookie quarterback, I think that's really valuable. Trayvon Diggs has been incredible. I think the Cowboys are going to be able to go into Foxborough and probably win by 2 scores, similar to what they did last week. I got the Chargers I got the Chargers money line. I'm rolling with you on this one, Manny. I think the Chargers are the second best team in the AFC. I think they're one of the probably 3 or 4 best teams in the league, just as a whole. I think this team is really good. I think that defense, if you look statistically, they're going to be at the bottom of the league in terms of running defense. But that's also partially because just the game flow last week against the Browns, they never even had a chance against the running game. I think they're going to be able to cause some problems for Lamar in the passing game because their secondary is better than the Colts. They'll be able to get after Lamar a little bit more. I'm going to roll with the Chargers until they give me a reason not to. And I think there's probably just a little bit too much hype on Lamar following that game, which was great. Incredible game by him. But I think part of the reason they're favored is because of that game. And I don't know if we've seen a game we definitely haven't seen a game like that from him. I don't know if we've seen him put back-to-back games where he controlled the game with his arm together yet. So I'm still waiting on that. I could be wrong about that, but I'm rolling with the Chargers money line. I got the Texans and Colts going over. I think these are two bad defenses. We saw Davis Mills last week against the Patriots defense be able to put up some points. I think the Colts can definitely put up some points. If they can't both get 3 touchdowns, I would be shocked in this game, especially considering how bad the Colts defense is and how banged up they are. I got the Raiders and the Broncos. I'm taking Raiders money line here. I think that this is going to be the type of game where all of that stuff just went down with the team, with the coach. The team is going to rally around whoever ends up stepping in. I don't even know who's stepping in as the interim head coach right now, but the team is going to rally around him. It is a special teams coordinator. I'm cool with that.
Scotty or Basket something. Coach B.
Coach B? Yeah. Coach B, they're going to rally around him because it sounds like they weren't really there for Gruden this past week after everything came out, which they shouldn't be. But I think they're going to really find this as like okay, let's get our stuff together now. We got that guy out. He's gone. We got somebody that we can actually rally around. And I think they're going to be there for each other. You see this a lot when a coach gets fired, the team rebounds. I think they're going to have a rebound week this week. I got them money line, and then I got the Bills covering. I think the Bills are going to probably win by 2 scores. That's just my prediction now. So those are my 5 best bets.
Alrighty, so I'm not allowed to do Thursday night games. Kyle's mean, so I'm not allowed to talk about it.
The show doesn't come out. You can talk about it, but it's not part of the. We talked about this. It's not part of the 5 best bets because the show doesn't come out till Friday.
Don't worry about it. I'm not allowed to talk about Thursday night, so I won't. I don't like the line. Anyways.
Wow, you're upset.
I am going to.
You in a bad mood today?
Yeah,
I'm always in a bad mood. That's my secret.
You wake up the wrong side of the bed.
I don't even sleep anymore. So moving on, I'm going to take the next game after the Thursday night game, which is an 8:00 game between the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm actually going to go Jacksonville +3. Do I think they're going to win? No, but I think they will take that cover and they'll win the actual bet. I don't think they win the game, but I think they cover.
The Dolphins are bad.
The Dolphins are bad, right?
They're bad,
and I hope the Dolphins win just because I want Urban Meyer to get fired. I think it would be hilarious. So moving on. So I've got Jacksonville at +3. Trevor Lawrence is actually doing pretty good. So much so that people are picking him up in fantasy football because of his garbage time passing, right? So Trevor Lawrence is looking okay. Besides all the interceptions, blah, blah, blah. He's looking more poised than his head coach, and that says a lot for a rookie quarterback and him being so young. I'm also going to go with Chicago Bears +4.5. Look, this is a bad year for gambling. This is a bad year for gambling. Every single must-bet pick that I feel like I have taken, I have lost, right? And I'm looking at this game, and I'm looking at how close Green Bay has been in games. And then I turn around, and every time between the first 5 weeks of the season, the Bears have played, I've always taken, the other team because I'm like, Chicago's not doing that good. Justin Fields is legit. I like Justin Fields. I remember during the draft process texting Kyle and being like, hey, this dude can throw the ball. Like, I'm trying to look at other players, but like the way he throws the ball makes you kind of stop and appreciate how he is. He is 2-1 as a starter. He's playing against Green Bay, who has a bad defense. So I'm taking him at +4.5. Do I think they'll win the game? Absolutely not. Do I think they cover? Absolutely. I think they cover there. Moving on. I like Houston Texans +10 against Indianapolis Colts, right? And that's just because the Colts secondary is absolutely awful. One thing to watch for in that game, though, is their right tackle, left tackle. Left tackle is out for 3 weeks, been put on IR. So it's all about Davis Mills. What are we going to do? How are we going to overcome that? But I do think they become – I honestly like +10. I think they come within 7 of the game. They still lose that game against Indiana. Moving on, I've got Carolina Panthers +1. This is a pick'em game against Minnesota. It's an easy pick'em game for me. I'm going to run with Sammy D all day long against Minnesota. Minnesota has been in games. There's a couple of games that if this had gone right, this has gone right, they would have won. I don't care. I think Carolina's a better team overall. I think they win that game outright. And then I think I'm on the last one. I haven't really been keeping count, but the last one that I really truly like is Cincinnati. They're the only dogs that I haven't taken this week, but Cincinnati's rolling right now. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is the real deal. I had a buddy text me during the preseason and said, "Man, Jamar Chase is a bust." Blah blah blah. Jamar Chase is a bust. That's because he kept dropping preseason. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Preseason games are not real life. It's just like Twitter. Moving on. Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase, that's a real life connection, and it's going to happen constantly. Detroit Lions have the second youngest secondary in the NFL. Or, no, I'm sorry, they have the youngest secondary in the NFL. Jamar Chase is going to feast on that. All he needs is a few long balls a game and a few touchdowns, and Cincinnati's going to win by at least a touchdown on that one. Sorry, Detroit. I really want you to have a good year, but it's not going to happen in this game.
Casey, are we moving on by any chance?
I think we're moving on. All
right, real quick, though.
Be fast.
No, it was funny. Real quick, my Twitter poll bet. I have to put that out. Completely forgot to put that out last week. Botched that. But I have 3 games I'm looking at for this one this week. I want you guys to help me decide which 2 to put in the poll. I'm looking at the Rams at the Giants. I'm looking at the Vikings at the Panthers, and I'm looking at the Bengals at the Lions. Which of those 2 games do you guys think I should put in the poll?
Definitely the Vikings and Carolina.
I was about to say, do the pick 'em one because it's a toss up. It's -1 +1, so do that one.
So I should throw the Rams Giants game out, go Vikings Panthers, and then Bengals Lions.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to watch the world burn, because the game that I'm staying away from is the Cleveland Browns and Arizona Cardinals. Arizona did not look great when they played against the 49ers, but don't get me wrong, the 49ers defense played a really good game for the most part. But Cleveland's offense, no matter what Manny says, Baker Mayfield's just not clutch. He can throw the ball all day long because they put up 400 some odd yards and had 46 points or 41 points, whatever. He can throw the ball all day long and he can make some really good passing. But if they're losing in the fourth quarter, they're not going to win. So that's a game that I'm staying away from just because of how Arizona played last week and how Cleveland played this week. I want to see what's going on there. So I would put that one up there. I could see both those teams winning. I mean, obviously not at the same time. That's not possible. But I could see.
I think that's a game I don't want to like. If I want to bet on that game, that's a game I want to bet on the over. So I want to just stay away from that one completely. I don't want to touch that game. I looked at it. I don't trust the over right now either. Because here's the other thing: is Kyler Murray is banged up. He's not 100%. So that's just another reason why I. That's another reason why I don't want to have to because I do think that the poll would probably pick the Cardinals just because of how good they've been this year.
It would be great.
I don't want to have to bet on a quarterback who relies on his legs, who's smaller, who is also still hurt right now because he's not 100% himself.
You're talking about?
I think we saw that.
You're talking about?
Well, actually, yeah, both quarterbacks are hurt now. Yeah, completely forgot about that. Yeah, so. Both quarterbacks are hurt. That scares me for that game. So I want to stay away from that. I'll roll with the Vikings and the Panthers and the Bengals and the Lions. All right, Tennessee Titans game. The Bills are in Tennessee. They're coming to Casey's home state. The Bills were in Tennessee last year in primetime football. I believe that game was played on a Tuesday because of a bunch of BS that led up to it. I have a question before we get into our typical pregame stuff. Do you think that because of everything that happened last year with the NFL moving things around to make sure that the Titans were able to be accommodated and all of that, do you think that plus the way the game played out where the Titans really just dominated the Bills in every facet of the game, do you think that this is another game that kind of means more to the Bills this year?
Yeah, I think so. I said it before. I don't care what Sean McDermott says in his press conference. We play this one game at a time. When the season ended and the new schedule came out, Josh Allen and all the players that played last year, they went to that schedule and they circled that KC game and then they circled that Tennessee game. They want blood. They want to make sure that they go out and they destroy these teams, not just beat them. but destroy them and just quieten, just get everybody quiet. No more talk about Bills are a good team. Bills are a winning franchise.
Yeah, I was looking at it thinking the Bills are on like a mini 2-game FU tour pretty much
Yeah,
with these two
yeah.
games because of the way things played out. They'll never say that. They won't ever say that until later on. Maybe after the season, they'll say that these games meant a little bit more. But I think because of how things played out last year, where it was the Titans game with that whole debacle, and then they had to have the Chiefs game moved for that reason also, and that just didn't like that was all a mess too. I think that these two games definitely mean more to the players who were on the team last year. It might not mean more to every single person. Like Emmanuel Sanders, I'm not saying it's just another game. I think he feels that it's a little different. But I think the guys who were on the team last year, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all of those guys who are a part of it, I think this is a little mini FU tour.
The energy, see the guys that never played. Like Emmanuel Sanders, Russo, Basham, these guys are going to feel that energy of how badly the other players want to win this game. And so, yes, I think they had this game circled as a blood game.
Yeah. All right. Your offensive game changer for the Titans. Who do the Bills have to pay attention to the most on the Titans? Manny, go ahead.
No one? Can I say that?
It's a little arrogant. Like I don't want to. I think
that's very arrogant. That's
a little
extremely arrogant.
Okay, if I had to,
no, you're locked in. You say no one. Tell us why it's no one.
On.
I need you to explain this real quick.
If you look at the stats this year and past year, Tannehill has struggled. Julio Jones.
Tannehill's stats are very similar to Josh Allen's stats, besides the fact that he's thrown more picks and that he's been sacked 20 plus more times. But as far as completion percentage and QBR, it is exactly the same. As far as yards and throwing a little bit less touchdowns. Yards as well. He's about 100 yards difference than Josh Allen. But continue. Who else do we not need to pay attention to?
Look, the sacks.
I did research.
Good for you. The sacks are a big problem, right? Because if you're playing with sacks, you're playing the long game. So all of a sudden, your second down is second down and 15, 17. That is a problem. And that's why the offense struggles. And I think, Julio Jones hasn't been that difference maker this year like it needed to be. I don't think A.J. Brown has been a difference maker this year. The only difference maker on this team is Derrick Henry.
This is insane.
And Derrick Henry...
this is insane.
Listen. Derrick Henry has been the difference maker, I believe, for the Titans this year.
We don't have to pay attention. We don't have to watch out for him,
welcome to Tennessee football. He's been the difference maker since they drafted him.
The three games he's played against the Bills, he's had a tough time. I don't know why, but he's always had a tough time against the Bills, stats-wise. I think the star at Oliver, that D-line is a lot stronger this year than it was last year. Ed Oliver is a little more mature. Star is back. I think those guys are key for the run stop. Adding guys like Russo who are quick and physical, they can get to Henry. As we saw, Russo was a beast against Hilaire. I'm not saying Hilaire is Henry, but some of those, off the block and tackles were really good. I honestly think that the Tennessee offense is really going to struggle against this offense. I mean, our defense. I think it's going to be really bad.
Okay, according to Manny, nobody on the Titans that the Bills have to worry about. That was an insane answer. I know you talked a little bit more about it, but that's still just an insane answer, Manny. Casey, you go ahead. Yeah.
Can I go?
You take this one.
Derrick Henry, we should never ever sleep on Derrick Henry ever. And let me just read out his stats. Last game against Jacksonville, he always does good against Jacksonville, but last game against Jacksonville, 130 yards, 4.5 yards in average, 3 touchdowns. The game before that, right? It was against the Jets. I understand it was against the Jets, but we can all agree that the Jets have a good front seven, right? It's the secondary that they're struggling in, right? But against the Jets, 157 yards, 4.8 yards carry, 1 touchdown. And then moving on to Indiana, right? Indianapolis, 113 yards, 4.0 yards a carry. Moving on to Seattle, 182 yards, 5.2 yards per
I
carry.
get what you're trying to say,
touchdowns.
Casey.
Hey,
But again,
Casey, can I add one more thing onto these stats? Have you seen that he is leading the league in rushing after contact? Like if you only took his yards after contact, he is still leading the league in rushing. I understand he hasn't had his best games against the Bills in the past, and this Bills defense is better than it was last year, and they should be able to slow him down. But he is definitely still somebody the Bills got to worry about.
I get it. I'm not saying that, like, okay, he is the key. That is the only guy that is the key. But that's it. And he struggled against the Bills. And I think he will struggle. Like, tell me, how many yards do you honestly think Henry's going to get against the Bills?
I think it 100% depends on how the game ends up going in terms of time of possession. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So I'll leave my answer at that.
Have y'all watched mini Tennessee games?
Yeah, Ben, I have Derrick Henry on my fantasy team. I watch him closely.
No, and
are you gonna sit him this week?
Well,
obviously not.
I'm not coming at you for that. I'm just asking because
it's him or Chase.
I have a lot of buddies.
It's him or Chase Edmonds. I'm definitely going to play Henry over Chase Edmonds.
So I have a lot of buddies who obviously live in Tennessee, who are obviously Tennessee fans, right? That don't watch a bunch of Buffalo, football games, right? I live in Tennessee, right? Tennessee game is always available for me, right? It's never blacked out, right? So if it's on, I'm probably going to watch it and see what's going on. I do have a lot of buddies who talk about it, right? I talk about their team, which is awesome. They let me talk about Buffalo. But Tennessee has playmakers on the offense, right? A.J. Brown's not having a good year. Pulled up his stats. Let me go back. I pulled up his stats. They look awful this year. They look really bad this year. But A.J. Brown's still a weapon, right? He is still a weapon. A.J. Green is on the Titans. I said it before he was even traded to the Titans that no matter where he went, he would not be the A.J. Brown that we were used to seeing. Did I?
You just said A.J. Green.
Right. Yeah.
And no, is it Julio?
Arizona.
Julio, yeah.
Julio.
Yeah.
The other day, you know how I am with player names, but the other day I got it flip-flop.
Terrible with player names.
I had somebody else on. I've got his name in my.
I guess you didn't research hard enough with Julio.
Shut up! You're still in timeout for saying we shouldn't pay attention. The point I'm trying to make is that Julio Jones is still not the weapon that he was when he was with Atlanta, right? But they do have playmakers at every position except for tight end because they let Johnny Smith walk. Their offensive line is atrocious. Ryan Tannehill's been sacked, 20 times. Blah blah blah. Ryan Tannehill is willing that team to win. In fact, I had a buddy text me and say, "Oh, we just need to get rid of Ryan Tannehill because they lost the Jets game, right?" And I said, "Yeah, that's because Ryan Tannehill is out there playing cornerback for you, right? He not only led a drive to tie up the game, but he is also putting his helmet back on and getting out there and matching up against the receivers for the Jets. So it's not the offense that is the problem with Tennessee. It's their secondary. Their secondary is absolutely garbage, right?
Save that because we got to do defense after this. We can talk about that. Yeah, save that.
The point I'm trying to make is that their offense does need respect. It doesn't necessarily demand respect like, say, a Kansas City offense or something like that, but their offense does still need respect from us in that aspect. Do I think our defense is going to be awesome? Yeah, absolutely. I think Gregory Rousseau is going to feast off that offensive line, and Ryan Tannehill is not going to have, any luck passing the ball. But, how do you slow down a pass rush? Does anybody know? You run the ball, right? Run the ball slows down the pass rush. Do play action, which Ryan Tannehill does do very well. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when I was looking at their offense, the thing that I noticed about them is that they are not a very deep offense, but they have that superstar talent at the top of the depth chart. So if you look through the backups, nobody really impressive. Behind Julio, behind A.J. Brown, nobody really impressive. But those guys still matter. It doesn't matter if they haven't had the best of seasons so far. It doesn't matter if they've been slightly injured. They're still very good football players. So you still got to worry about them. But that offensive line thing does come into play a lot. So if the Bills are able to dominate their offensive line like I would hope they're able to, it's not as big of a deal. But you still got, like, there's still game changers out there. They can still take one to the house at any point. They have that ability, despite not being that player up to this point in the season. They're the type of players who can make that thing happen still. So I get what you're saying at the beginning, Manny, of like you don't really have anybody you have to worry about. But they still have those 3 superstar level players. So we'll roll with that. Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, AJ Brown.
Who did I even say for Julio?
You said Jones? AJ Green instead of you got 3 players mixed up.
Did I get 3 players mixed up? I think
you got caught up.
AJ
I think you got caught up because AJ Brown, you had just recently said his name. Man. So I think as soon as you said that, you went to AJ Green instead, and we were talking. Yeah, so I think you got just mixed up there.
That's why I was laughing.
Right there.
That's a full on Casey name experience right there. Casey, you wanted to go defensive players. Yes, you were about to talk defense.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're going to roll with the secondary. I was going to ask who the game changers are, but you want to talk secondary clearly. I want to leave that for you. I got a game changer on the defensive line, then I'll give it over to Manny after that. But give us your thoughts on the Titans secondary, because
trash.
There's a lot to say.
They're just trash. They're garbage. They cannot cover worth anything. And this has been an issue for Tennessee for the past it seems like 3 years. They've had. I feel like they've drafted a cornerback every single year in the draft for the past 3 years, and it still has not fixed the issue. Their secondary is just absolutely awful. So when you look at our offense, and you look at our offensive firepower, you look at all of the weapons that we have on offense, we should be rolling in this game. If there's a game where it's like, okay, let's just not run the ball, this might be the game where we just do not run the ball because of how awful their secondary is. That's all I really want to say about their secondary.
Question real quick. Do you know if they're still playing more of a zone heavy scheme? Because I trust in Josh Allen to be able to beat it, but they have given him some of those issues playing that type of defense against him. So that's kind of one of the reasons he was thrown off last year. He didn't play as well against that. Do you know if they're still running more of that type of scheme?
I don't know, and I don't want to sit there and lie. But I will say, how do you protect a terrible secondary? Well, you run mostly zone. Like, that's how you mask some of those issues on the back end. You're not going to be able to play man against a lot of these receivers in the NFL. So they probably are running zone. If they're smart, they're running zone. If they're not smart, then they're running man. They're mixing it up, and they're going to get burnt, which they happen to do all the time. So.
I'm not saying that if they are running zone, that Josh Allen's automatically going to struggle. We've seen him be successful against zone defenses since then. Like, it's not like it happened last year, so it's going to happen. I just think it's noteworthy to mention that they were able to, despite not having a great defense last year, they were able to make him struggle a little bit. I do think this defense is weird because they have some players who have, like, I don't want to say big time names, but like Kevin Byard, he was one of the best safeties in the NFL at one point. He hasn't been playing as great the last year and a half. Christian Fulton was a guy who was playing really well. I don't know how he's playing right now. So they have some guys, but they lost a lot of talent on the defense. Yeah. When I look at their defense, I do think they have one guy who stands out just far and wide above the rest, and it's Jeffrey Simmons. It's a guy that I wish the Bills had drafted. I wanted them to draft that year. But the Titans ended up taking him. And he's a guy who can be a game wrecker. Like, he's a freak athlete on the defensive line. He could absolutely blow up the line of scrimmage on his side. I believe I don't even know what side he plays on. I think he plays on the right side. But he's a guy who can completely change a game plan, like a Chris Jones, despite we didn't see him play last week, but they're the same. They can have the same type of effect. Jeffrey Simmons is a guy who I think the Bills really have to key in on, because if they can minimize his effect on the Bills offensive line, then I think they can definitely do a lot more where he's not going to get after the runners. He's not going to get after after Josh Allen as much. If they can minimize his effect, it's going to open things up a lot more, because he's just an absolute mammoth of a defensive lineman for the Titans defense, that he's probably the main guy that worries me. But all in all, I agree. Like, their defense doesn't worry me that much.
For me, it's the linebacking core. I think Rashaan Evans left the game last game, early in the first quarter, I believe. And I think if he's going to be out, I think they're going to struggle up there as well. Landry's been.
Was it Evans or I think Jayon Brown is the one who's out? They lost Jayon Brown. He's on IR.
Rashaan Evans left too, I believe, as well.
Now, don't forget. Do not forget that they just signed Avery Williamson, hometown hero. The people. My wife is from his hometown, and there are signs when you enter that little hometown saying Avery Williamson plays for this team and this team. Just, hey, don't forget they just signed him just in time for him to take this L from the Bills. So congratulations, Avery Williamson.
Yeah, I don't know how in shape Avery Williamson is right now.
He was on the practice squad for the Broncos, so I'm sure he's in shape. And
I'm sure he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's probably ready to go. They probably got him because of Evans and not knowing what Evans' injury is like. But Landry's been okay and Long's been okay, and Evans been their big guy on that linebacking core. And if he's out and Williamson's in, I don't know how much of a drop off that is. Or if it is a drop-off. So the linebacking core hasn't been really good for Tennessee, just like the secondary hasn't been that good. So it's going to be a tough night for Tennessee's defense.
It hasn't been good since Avery Williamson, hometown hero, left for the Jets in free agency. Welcome back, Avery Williamson.
I just want to block his face right now.
That's why I have to be in the middle. I got to keep you guys away from each other on this.
Are you a Tennessee fan?
He is. Look, he might have been hiding this entire time just so this week he could be like, "Yep, Tennessee Titans, let's go."
I make fun of Avery Williamson every chance I get, and it's because where he's from. My wife is from the same city, right? I was once shopping somewhere. And this old woman was talking to me about football because I was wearing a football shirt, and she was like, "Avery's a great guy. He does a lot for the community back home." But she was like, "Avery's so good. Avery, did you know that he was with the worst team in the NFL, and then he got traded to Seattle, or not Seattle, but the Steelers? They're gonna win a Super Bowl. Avery's that good." And I'm like, "Avery's not, ma'am, Avery's not that good." Right? He used to be good. Now he's gotten a little bit older, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but I rag because they are so proud of the fact that Avery Williamson is from that city, which rightfully so, right? But still, it just every time I drive into the city, I see the sign. And here's the funny thing about this: when he was with Tennessee, they had an actual Tennessee Titans sign, like it was an actual sign. He signs with the Jets in free agency. You know what they did? Hilarious, right? They took plywood, painted it dark green, and put Avery Williamson of the Jets. And then they didn't even change it when he went to the Steelers. They didn't change it. It's still a green sign. Even to this day, he signed with the Broncos. He was on the practice squad. It's still just a dark green sign that says Avery Williamson. They haven't changed it again. So
this is giving you a lot of joy.
He seems to be enjoying that. But I want to give a shout out to my hometown guy who just started last week was Chuba Hubbard. Shout out Carolina Panthers running back. Good. He's born and raised here in Edmonton.
How big is Edmonton?
Robert. It's about 1 million people.
Yeah, so we're talking about a town of like 1,500 over here, and you go. Shout out to my boy.
Shout out to my boy from this city, this large city.
Yo, there's how many Canadians in the league? There's probably like 20.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Who cares 20. At this point?
We're only 40 million people. 40 million in Canada, where you guys have like, I don't know, reproduction.
A lot. We have a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people.
Like 45 million.
You want to talk about reproduction?
No,
you have more kids than
doing on this show.
You have more kids than me and Kyle combined. You want to talk about reproduction in the United States? You're trying to bring up Canada's number by yourself, Manny.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
All right, let's. We are running out of time here. We got to keep this thing moving. I know we got way off track there. Probably about 5 minutes of off track. So Thank you to anybody who kept listening through all of that.
That
But
our one
keys to
fan
the
is
game.
just cheering us on.
Keys. It's Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. We appreciate you, Dawn.
Shout out
and
Dawn. I love Dawn.
Dawn is she's fantastic. And then Matthew, I'm going to butcher the last name, but Matthew Wroblewski, he's a consistent commenter on the YouTube show also. So shout out to them. Shout out to everybody else who comments on the YouTube. We appreciate all of you guys for doing that. And if you want to, if you're not a consistent commenter, feel free to leave a comment, even if you're just telling us that we suck, because sometimes we do. But keys to the game. Manny, I'll start with you. What is your key to the game for the Bills?
Just be aggressive, don't be conservative, and just keep on piling those points. That's basically the key to the game. Just keep on piling. The more score,
keep on piling.
The more they score, the more confidence the team's going to get. The better the defense plays. Keep it simple and just keep piling.
All right. So your key to the game is KISS. Then keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid.
Cool. Casey, your key to the game.
Very, 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 very simple. Stop the run on the other side and pass the ball on offense. Right? It's easier said than done on both of those, but if you do those two things, Buffalo will win.
Okay, my key to the game. I agree with that. By the way, don't want to just act like I didn't. I completely agree with that.
Moving on.
And moving on. I think so. My key to the game. I think the Bills have to win the time of possession battle. And I mentioned this earlier. I said I wanted to talk about this with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the type of running back who he gets better as the game goes on because he is such a big physical running back who can also just move faster than everybody else on the field. It just baffles me, by the way. I tweeted this out earlier today. It's so weird watching him run because he doesn't look like he's running fast. He looks like he's running in slow motion. Like it's almost like he's running on one of those airport walkway things where everyone else is running on regular ground and he's just kind of like lightly jogging but going way faster than them. It's so weird how he runs. I can't wrap my mind around it. But anyways, he's the type of running back who he gets better as the game goes on. If they give him the chance to consistently just destroy the line of scrimmage, which is what he does because him getting into him at the point of contact, it hurts. It doesn't feel good to tackle him. Don't know that personally, obviously, but he's the type of running back you don't want to tackle over and over and over and over again. It's not great for a defense to have to deal with that. So if the Titans get the chance to control the ground game, if they get the chance to go on long drives on offense, which I don't think they'll be able to do, but if they're able to, that's going to make things a lot more difficult for the Bills. If the Bills are consistently going like 2-3 plays and scoring, I think the defense has the potential to get tired out at the end of the game, which I don't want to see. So I would like to see the Bills win the time of possession battle. Sure, a couple of quick touchdowns is cool, but if they can have long, drawn-out drives, I would love to see that against a team that does really well when they win the time of possession battle because of the running back that they have on offense. So I think that's one of the keys to the game for the Bills. Win the time of possession battle. You got nothing?
I've got a lot, but we're running out of time.
I agree with you, Kyle. I think time possession is important. You got to win that.
All right.
I think the Bills are going to stop them. But
here's the thing. I think the Bills are going to be able to stop them also. Yeah. But if the Titans get a couple of those long, drawn-out drives, that's going to wear this Bills defense down just the way Derrick Henry runs. So it's not about I don't think the Bills can do it. It's that I think it's kind of a war of attrition with Derrick Henry. The more you see him running at you, the harder it gets to stop him. So I want the Bills to be able to control the game by not having him get the chances to get touch after touch after touch. Yep. Keep him as far away from the Titans' game plan as possible by keeping him off the field. That's really the point.
But if the Bills get into an early lead, and this is what I think, is that the Bills get a big lead in the first half, and Tennessee will abandon the run game because they're going to have to catch up by throwing the ball.
I don't disagree with that either. I want to make that clear. If the Bills can get a big lead early, I think that's just as good as winning the time of possession battle. But I think either one is going to work. My thing was just I don't want to see Derrick Henry getting 30 running attempts because the Titans are able to go on some long drawn-out drives and wear the Bills' defense down. That was my only thing.
Here's one thing I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think, and I know I probably feel it because you don't have to care about any player on the Titans, but do you think there's a little bit of a high coming into this game for the Bills and maybe a little too cocky?
No, I think you're just used to losing, and that's something that as Bills fans that we're going to be like, oh, something's going to go wrong. No, I don't think so. I think this team is too well run with its veterans. I think it's too well run with its coaches to keep its head on straight. And I think they do mean it when they say it to themselves. And now it's become a mantra of it's one game at a time. And I think that's really something that they will remind these younger players who have not been here before. Hey, act like you've been here before. Hey, one game at a time. Hey, we got to take Tennessee, we got to take it serious, right? Josh said it best. Winning 4 games does not get you into the Super Bowl. Does not. You don't win the Super Bowl that way. So, no, I don't think that there's a high. I think that they are level-headed and they're going to take care of business. They're going to move on to the next game.
I will add just a little bit onto that, what I said earlier. I do think that there is a little bit of a mini FU tour that they're on, though. So I don't think that they're on too much of a high. I think they're probably in we're going to make sure that we did to them what they did to us last year. So it's just another game, but also we're going to go in there and our goal is to just demolish them. So I don't know if I'm not as worried about them being like, oh, we're just the greatest thing ever. That's not the way this Bills team is. Like, they're not made that way. They're all of the Sean McDermott mindset. There's a reason why these players are brought in, because they fit the culture of the team, which is exactly what Casey was pointing out there. So I'm not sure I'm really worried about that. What's your game prediction for a player stat line or something like that?
Stat line? I think
any sort of prediction like that.
I think Isaiah McKenzie returns for a touchdown.
Oh boy, Casey and Ryan would be sick.
Emmanuel Sanders has another 2-touchdown game and over 50 yards.
I'll be happy with that.
I think the Bills are going to be able to end up getting 2 100-yard receivers this week.
Wow, that's pretty good too.
Not something that happens all that often.
No, it doesn't. That's why.
Receivers.
Yeah, that's pretty.
You should say 2 100-yard skill position players.
You
receiving skill position.
You
players.
think it's going to be Dawson Knox that gets one of them?
No, I just think that you can tell the chemistry. I think the chemistry's there, and I think Josh is getting more comfortable than he already is at throwing to him and trusting him a little bit more. So I think and the coaching staff is trusting him a little bit more every single game. So I think you're going to see more of Dawson Knox getting closer to the 100-yard receiving than not getting closer to the 100-yard receiving. I think 4 or 5 targets a game is his kind of like middle ground, but seeing him catch a 30-yard gain here or a 30-yard gain there, like that can start to become a real deal if the offensive line allows Josh Allen the time.
And he's gone.
He froze. He's out.
Perfect. Look at his face. It's perfect.
I love when this happens to him. It's great. But no, so I do agree.
Those longer routes, I think it might come to fruition. So
Casey,
I don't think it's stupid.
You are just out. Okay, you froze a while back. I'm just going to let you know. So
that's fine. We can move on.
But what I do agree what you're saying though, that he could end up getting to that 100-yard mark if he has a couple of those like longer catches. I think there's only one player on the Bills who doesn't really have the ability to get to the 100-yard mark without having or has to have a lot of receptions to get to the 100-yard mark, and that would be Cole Beasley. Everybody else has that bigger play potential where they could catch a deep ball. They could have a short catch and take it, an extra 20 yards potentially. He's probably the only player on this team who would have to probably have 7-8 catches in order to get to that point. So I do think that it could be something where we see a couple of different players have 4 or 5 catches, and 2 or 3 of them are deep balls from Josh Allen, because we saw he was on last week. I think he's starting to get in his groove there. But yeah, 2 players, 100 yards receiving. I'll say 2 players, 100 yards receiving, not 2 100-yard receivers. That's a fine clarification. Over under, I have it set at 54.5 right now. We already talked about the Bills are 5.5-point favorites. The line has moved. It started out at 3.5, already up to 5.5 at the time of recording. Wouldn't be shocked to see it keep going up just because of how good the Bills have been. I think we all are on the Bills cover the spread side. That agreeable?
Yep.
Yeah,
Casey?
100%. Yeah.
All right, over under 54.5.
Under.
Under.
I'm also on the under. I have the score prediction. My score prediction right now is Bills winning by 2 touchdowns. I got 34-20. I think it's going to be a much more lopsided game than that too. But I think because the fourth quarter garbage time thing happens, I think the Titans will be able to get one of those late touchdowns that ends up making the game seem closer than it is. But 34-20, I want to predict an absolute blowout where the Bills put up like 40 and the Titans aren't even close. But I'm never gonna make that my type of prediction. I think 34-20 is a reasonable type of game when, if we look at the actual numbers, the Titans have not played as well at home as they have on the road, oddly enough. They're only averaging like 19 points a game at home. So something a little bit weird going on there. Not sure what it is, but 34-20, that's my score prediction. Manny, what's yours?
I have them Bills winning 34-13.
All right, so no garbage time touchdown for you. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Casey, what about you? Is he frozen again?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, is he frozen again? Do we have to wait now? This is literally the last thing in the show. We got to wait for him
honestly,
to unfreeze.
While he unfreezes, I'll just say I just think, like, I know you were saying garbage touchdown. There's a lot of that. I just think the Bills probably intercept him or something like that, and just
That's fair.
Over.
That's fair. All right, Casey, what's
31?
This is incredible.
Right when he's about to see the same thing.
Yep. This is the Nap-Nosed Buffalo difference. Just absolute chaos right here. Yeah. We are going to get this prediction. Oh, maybe we won't. Maybe we won't get this prediction from Casey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I don't know if we should wait for him. Let me double check. Do you have any other takes that you want to get off about this game while I double check if Casey's
you brought up Cole Beasley. I just wanted to bring him up. I know I get a lot of hate for Cole Beasley takes, but I am curious to see how they utilize him. I heard in the press conference, Sean McDermott talk about that it was more of a game plan decision, and it's been pretty much 2 straight games now of a game plan. And if it's into the third game against Tennessee, like, I'm kind of starting to question the game plan of when are you going to use Beasley, and so I'm a little curious of what happens. What happens during that is what happens with Cole Beasley, and how much does he get playing time in this week?
Yeah, I did notice. I mean, we've talked at length about this, and we will finish up in just a second, but I feel like I want to comment on this one too. We've talked at length about the whole Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders thing, and how you're like, oh, Cole Beasley is fading. He's not going to be a part of the offense because of the snap count and all of that. But if you look at snap count, at the same time, Devin Singletary, he was right there with Cole Beasley on snap count. So I think that I don't think Sean McDermott is lying about this. I think there might be something where it's like, okay, we're going to maybe chill with you for a second because of whatever online. I don't think that that's really the reason, though. I think it is literally just game plan, and there's going to be certain games where he doesn't fit as well into the scheme, other games where he does. Yeah. I do think this could be a game where he does fit into the game plan a little bit better.
I can see it.
So it wouldn't shock me. I don't think he's ever going to be the number one receiver in like total snaps or whatever. It's very clear that Emmanuel Sanders and Stephon Diggs are the two guys who are going to get the most snaps at wide receiver. Yeah. But it would not shock me at all at any point to see Cole Beasley end up with, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 catches again, because that's the type of player he is. Once he gets going, once him and Josh Allen get that connection going, it's on. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. This could be an interesting game for them.
I'm just comparing from last year to this year. His snap count from the year before to this year has changed, and that could be.
It's definitely down.
It's also Dawson Knox too. Dawson Knox has been playing so much better and a lot more clutch, I would say, than he was his previous years. Right, so that has a lot to do with it too.
No, completely. But I do think it's important to note that it's not likely that Cole Beasley is just literally getting phased out of the offense. I think he is still looked at as a key part of this offense. It might just be on that game-to-game basis. So that's where we're at. We all have the Bills winning. By the way, I did get a text from Casey. Obviously, he's not coming back in at this point. He's just having some internet issues. Casey has the Bills winning 31-10. So he's also looking at a blowout. Apparently, I just am not as confident in the Bills as you guys are. I'm definitely confident in the Bills. So I think the Bills win by 2 scores. That's an awesome win if you can do it.
Hey, I went against the Bills last week, so
I'm not going against the Bills here, though. That's the thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I got to be more confident because I hesitated.
Yeah, you got to make up for that.
Yeah, I hesitated last week.
You did, and you caught some flack online for it, and you deserve.
I got lots of flack. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. All right, awesome. I think this was a good show.
Yeah,
Manny, let me get a go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.